Okay, well, the other thing didn't work, so, hi, hello, Trusty Ape here. I'll just go off camera, so like this. I keep having to re-hide my badge, and, yeah. So, I've, invited a few people over for a panel, but, let's see if they've checked their emails, if they received my email. If they've received my email. Okay, well, that's all right. Weird. Plus, I started the stream a couple minutes early, so scheduled for 11:55. For some reason, I thought I'd put 11:45, but it's all right because I was in here setting up the computer just in the nick of time. I am back in the other city for a time. All right, we'll just get right into this thing. This is all I got. This tiny little roach of swagweed. I finally broke down and started rolling up that weird shit I found yesterday. Who knows how long that's been in there, but it smelled a little funky at first. Kind of perfumey. It still has a little bit of that tinge to it, but fuck it. You gotta smoke. Gave me a little buzz. I was just watching Amy Newman, Skeptic and Ranting. They had some funny stuff going on over there. And I feel like maybe that's what we should be watching, but I don't want to go too far into topic. If anybody's going to come by, we could, approach about any topic, because I had a couple kind of coming to mind. But yeah, doing a lot of streaming. If you haven't noticed, a shit ton of streaming over the weekend. Well, my weekend, Sunday and Monday. So I made this comment on Facebook and got a bit of a mixed response. Let's see, and I haven't edited it, so I didn't really want to. I wanted to edit the so that you can't, YouTube doesn't see the people on my Facebook necessarily, because this is my personal Facebook account. Oh my goodness. Eight months ago. Nope. Yeah, it's still got me locked out of Facebook over here. Okay, I've been saving up some tweets. Check tweets. So my Facebook post was about essentially, saying that, if you believe that everybody's out to get you, that's paranoia. Get out of your head, right? And get out of your head and realize that most people want to see you succeed. And that was met with, mostly lots of love, but also got a little bit of pushback as far as those who want to see you fail. And there are definitely those people out there that will get off on watching you fall, for whatever reason, or they're afraid that you're going to actually challenge their position, like whether it be at work or whatever. Anything you do that you might challenge their status. So they only want to see you succeed up to a certain point, unless it's a perceived as a threat to them potentially, right? So there's that factor too. And then there's those who are completely different. They just don't give a fuck about you. They're wrapped up in their own bullshit and they could give two shits less what happens to you, really. Like, like, hey, you do good. But if not, fuck you, Um, not necessarily, very community minded or like, trying to, yeah. So it's like a spectrum. Like, so when you like make generalizations like that, it's like, well, say, well, most people really don't get off on watching other people fail hard, right? Like, for real, like, most people have empathy and compassion and they feel bad when that happens. But, there is a school of people who's going to think it's funniest shit in the world. And there's a school of people who, for whatever reason, they just want to do it to you. They might, whether they personally dislike you or not, right? But so you have to account for those types of people. Like, yes, have a positive mental attitude, and people are good mostly, but people do a lot of shitty shit too, and always keep that in mind, and don't become, what's the, an optimist to the point where where you're losing sight of things that people do, right? People do fucked up shit. Subscribe to Mr. Beast and get access. I've heard of Mr. Beast. Someone you follow subscribe to Mr. Beast. Well, he says, why though? Where have I heard of this person? Oh, okay. So they're getting these in notifications now. It's like fucking, yeah, all the other social media sites are doing that shit. Subscribe to more channels. Ads. Trump wants to reimburse firearm training for the same teachers that they don't trust with pronouns. Kitty, looking good. Time to start your day. Big thanks to JWNAA for sharing his story with us tonight. Oh yeah, they did a show with this guy. Got Alan Losh. I got to watch it. Okay. TS Cockroach. Alright, I'll give it a follow. Okay. I'll prove you're not toxic. Screenshot your YouTube search history without changing anything. That's hilarious. No. War itself is, of course, a form of madness. It's hardly a civilized pursuit. It's amazing how we spend so much time inventing devices to kill each other and so little time working on how to achieve peace. Walter Cronkite, Okay. Oh, I got one too. John Kraus. Someone you follow, subscribe to John Kraus Photos. Subscribe to John Kraus to get access to exclusive content. Oh. Oh wow, my tweet was retweeted. Oh yeah, I remember, by Kitty and Faye. Had Faye on. Kitty. I'm like, Faye. No, this is a different Faye. YT Wonder Lady. But I've been following here for a while. Followers, Marissa Morales. Okay, I think we've got follows back on all these folks. Yeah. And Phoenix Electric Circus liked a tweet. Phoenix came by the channel. Yeah, in the height of toxicity, my mobile, I get a whole different thing going on. I've got I still got notifications on my mobile that are not coming up here. It's nice. Spanish. Uh-huh. All right. It's about that. Kind of a boring night on Twitter, as usual. I'm not big on Twitter anyway, so I don't know. Yeah, it's Twitter's okay. It's just nothing much going on there. I haven't been very active on there. Let's see. So we're here. Pull up one of these. I've been muted this whole time. I'm over here like reading aloud while muted. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm awfully sorry. Okay. Anyway, I was reading this thing about the concept of mind, which goes into philosophy of mind, which is, yeah, I've read some of this article now, so should I go back? I don't know. Has anybody been able to keep up with me? I know not everybody reads at the same speed, so I'm here now. If I can even fucking highlight the thing. I'm a bumbling idiot tonight. Might be too tired to stream. There is no contradiction between saying that an action is governed by physical laws and saying that the same action is governed by principles of reasoning. The motives of observable actions are propensities and dispositions. These explain why behaviors occur, and not some purely mental process. For example, the disposition to want or not to want something is not explained by an intellectual motive for that thing. The disposition to want something is explained by the behaviors that are involved in wanting that thing. Thus, the mind does consist of abilities and dispositions that do explain behaviors. For example, the learning, remembering, knowing, feeling, or willing behaviors. However, personal abilities and dispositions are not the same as mental processes or events. To refer to abilities or dispositions as if they were purely mental occurrences is to make a basic kind of category mistake. So basically saying that identifying the mind as being anything separate from a process of the body is a basic error, the category error, right? So the mind is a function of the body according. So I mean, it's like so I think that's pretty much what T-Jump kind of subscribes to, is this kind of thing. And maybe that's where I got recommended to reading about something like this. Was that whole free will thing that we keep talking about, and why I'm still a free will proponent, even though, they're like, what do you mean? Where does the will come from? What is it? I don't know, man. It's all in your head. It's in your mind, bro. Like the mind doesn't exist. The mind is in your head, but it is your head. Yeah, it's like the same. Yeah, I don't know. Your mind's just doing what your body wants it to do, right? Is that right, though? Okay. The nature of a person's motives may be defined by the actions and reactions of that person in various circumstances or situations. The nature of a person's motives in a particular situation may not necessarily be determined by any hidden mental processes or intellectual acts within that person. Motives may be revealed or explained by a person's behavior in a situation. It may, but they may also have ulterior hidden motives. Ryle criticizes the theory that the mind is a place where mental images are apprehended, perceived, or remembered. Sensations, thoughts, and feelings do not belong to a mental world which is distinct from the physical world. Knowledge, memory, imagination, and other abilities or dispositions do not reside within the mind, as if the mind were a space in which these dispositions could be placed or located. Furthermore, dispositions are not the same as behavioral actions, but actions may be explained by dispositions. Dispositions are neither visible nor hidden, because they are not in the same logical category as behavioral actions. Dispositions are not mental processes or intellectual acts. They are propensities which explain various modes of behavior. Perceptions, thoughts, emotions, and feelings may be understood as observable behaviors which have various modes of production. Ryle admits that his approach, Ryle or Riley? I think it's Ryle. Yeah. Ryle admits that his approach to the theory of mind is behavioristic and being opposed to the theory that there are hidden mental processes that are distinct from observable behaviors. His approach is based on the view that actions such as thinking, remembering, feeling, and willing are revealed by modes of behavior or by dispositions to modes of behavior. At the same time, however, he criticizes both Cartesian theory and behaviorist theory for being overly mechanistic. While Cartesian theory may insist that hidden mental events produce the behavioral responses of the conscious individual, behaviorism may insist that stimulus-response mechanisms produce the behavioral responses of the conscious individual. Ryle concludes that both Cartesian theory and behaviorist theory may be too rigid and mechanistic to provide us with an adequate understanding of the concept of mind. Okay. So in this concept of mind, he sees the mind as kind of inseparable from the body, which I guess is kind of, when they were looking at dualism, right? And so he's like, no, there's no dualism there. It's all just the same freaking machine, except he doesn't like calling it a machine for some reason, or doesn't like to think of it as mechanistic. I don't know. We're just reading the Wikipedia article, not the book, so we can only glean so much here. But category mistakes. As a linguistic philosopher, a significant portion of Ryle's argument is devoted to analyzing what he perceives as philosophical errors based in conceptual use of language. His critique of Cartesian dualism refers to it as a category mistake. Category mistakes, such as the one Ryle points out, are made by people who do not know how to properly wield the concepts with which they are working. I think I said that backwards. With which they are working. Their puzzles arise from the inability to use certain items in human language. A much-cited example is of a foreign visitor being shown round Oxford, which has no campus, and after having been shown colleges, libraries, laboratories, and playing fields, asks in puzzlement, "But where is the university?" The answer is, of course, all of these. The theoretically interesting category mistakes are those made by people who are perfectly competent to apply concepts, at least in the situations with which they are familiar, but are still liable in their abstract thinking to relocate those concepts to logical types to which they do not belong. Okay. The dualist doctrine establishes a polar opposition between mind and body. At the language level, the mental properties are logical negations, in the Aristotelian sense, of the physical properties. So they belong in accordance with the concept of category to the same logical types, given that the expressions that are used for the descriptions of mental events are always mere negatives of the expressions used for the descriptions of material events. Ryle then says that such use implies a categorical mistake for the descriptions of mental events that do not properly belong to the categories, comparable to claiming that I skipped a line. Categories used for describing corporeal events. So the descriptions of mental events that do not properly belong to the categories used for describing the corporeal events. Hence, mind and matter cannot be the polar opposites that dualism suggests. Ryle writes that this would be comparable to claiming that she came home in floods of tears and she came home in a sedan chair. From the sentence, Miss Bolo came home in a flood of tears in a sedan chair, a zeugmatic sentence from Dickens. Okay. To be polar opposites, such mistakes are, from the Rylean standpoint, the dogma of the mental ghost in the corporeal machine. Then dualist doctrines are mythic in an analytical sense. Okay, what does this word mean? In rhetoric, zeugma and solipsis are figures of speech in which a single phrase or word joins different parts of a sentence. Okay. Antecedents. Ryle builds on the work of philosophers Ludwig Wittgenstein and Arthur Schopenhauer, among others. According to Brian McGee, the central thesis of concept of mind and the essentials of its subsidiary theses were derived from Schopenhauer, whose works Ryle had read as a student, then largely forgotten. Ryle, who believed that he had expounded an original theory, did not realize what he had done until someone pointed it out to him after the book was published. Okay. Interesting. I think I've done that too. There's lots of good ones down there, but I want to make sure. So there's a separate article linked here for, in the beginning, the philosophy of mind, which is kind of where we're going from concept of mind to philosophy of mind, right? Some kind of down the road interlinked thing here. Not to be confused with theory of mind. Right? Concept of mind, philosophy of mind, theory of mind. Okay, wait. Okay. Philosophy of mind is a branch of philosophy that studies the ontology and nature of the mind and its relationship with the body. The mind-body problem is a paradigmatic issue in philosophy of mind, although a number of other issues are addressed, such as the hard problem of consciousness and the nature of particular mental states. Aspects of the mind that are studied include mental events, mental functions, mental properties, consciousness, and its neural correlates. Find somewhere to set this. The ontology of the mind, the nature of cognition and of thought, and the relationship of the mind to the body. Dualism and monism are the two central schools of thought on the mind-body problem, although nuanced views have arisen that do not fit one or the other category neatly. Dualism finds its entry into Western philosophy thanks to René Descartes in the 17th century. Substance dualists like Descartes argue that the mind is an independently existing substance, whereas property dualists maintain that the mind is a group of independent properties that emerge from and cannot be reduced to the brain, but that it is not a distinct substance. Okay, so we got substance dualism says that the mind is a substance of itself, which is not the brain, right? Property dualist, mind has independent properties that emerge from the brain but are not reducible to the brain, but it's not distinct from the brain. That works, I guess, yeah. Stuff that occurs from the brain but isn't the brain itself, right? Because your thoughts don't technically exist in your brain. They arise from your brain, but it's like, where are they? Pinpoint the thought, and well, they could, like when they like stimulate certain things, they could like find out like where it's happening, but they can't like really. Well, yeah, I guess you can get pretty close to that, kind of, but you have to trigger it, right? You have to like trigger the thought so you don't see this thought actually arising when you do that, right? I don't know. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm not a fucking neuroscientist here. Monism is the position that mind and body are ontologically indiscernible entities, not dependent substances. This view was first advocated in Western philosophy by Parmenides in the 5th century BCE and was later espoused by the 17th century rational Baruch Spinoza. Physicalists argue that only entities postulated by physical theory exist and that mental processes will eventually be explained in terms of these entities as physical theory continues to evolve. Physicalists maintain various positions on the prospects of reducing mental properties to physical properties, many of whom adopt compatible forms of property dualism, and the ontological status of such mental properties remains unclear. Idealists maintain that the mind is all that exists, and the external world is either mental itself or an illusion created by the mind. Neutral monists, such as Ernst Mach and William James, argue that events in the world can be thought of as either mental, psychological, or physical, depending on the network of relationships into which they enter. And dual aspect monists, such as Spinoza, adhere to the position that there is some other neutral substance and that both matter and mind are properties of this unknown substance. The most common monisms in the 20th and 21st centuries have all been variations of physicalism. These positions include behaviorism, the type identity theory, anomalous monism, and functionalism. Most modern philosophers of mind adopt either a reductive physicalist or non-reductive physicalist position, maintaining in their different ways that the mind is not something separate from the body. These approaches have been particularly influential in the sciences, especially in the fields of sociobiology, computer science, specifically artificial intelligence, evolutionary psychology, and the various neurosciences. Reductive physicalists assert that all mental states and properties will eventually be explained by scientific accounts of physiological processes and states. Non-reductive physicalists argue that although the mind is not a separate substance, mental properties supervene on physical properties, or that the predicates and vocabulary used in mental descriptions and explanations are indispensable and cannot be reduced to the language and lower-level explanations of physical science. Continued neuroscientific progress has helped to clarify some of these issues. However, they are far from being resolved. Modern philosophers of mind continue to ask how the subjective qualities and the intentionality of mental states and properties can be explained in naturalistic terms. However, a number of issues have been recognized with non-reductive physicalism. First, it is irreconcilable with self-identity over time. Secondly, intentional states of consciousness do not make sense on non-reductive physicalism. Thirdly, free will is impossible to reconcile with either reductive or non-reductive physicalism. Fourthly, it fails to properly explain the phenomenon of mental causation. And this is why, anytime we discuss this, free will, I, okay, can't be physicalism because right here, this exact idea here. Yeah. So if there's free will, then there has to be some kind of, it would have to be a dualistic approach, right? Mind-body problem. The mind-body problem concerns the explanation of the relationship that exists between minds or mental processes and bodily states or processes. The main aim of philosophers working in this area is to determine the nature of the mind and mental states and processes, and how or even if minds are affected by and can affect the body. Of course, perceptual experiences depend on stimuli that arrive at our various sensory organs from the external world. And these stimuli cause changes in our mental states, ultimately causing us to feel a sensation, which may be pleasant or unpleasant. Someone's desire for a slice of pizza, for example, will tend to cause that person to move his or her body in a specific manner and in a specific direction to obtain what he or she wants. The question then is how it can be possible for conscious experiences to arise out of a lump of gray matter endowed with nothing but electrochemical properties. A related problem is how someone's propositional attitudes, e.g., beliefs and desires, cause that individual's neurons to fire and muscles to contract. These comprise some of the puzzles that have confronted epistemologists and philosophers of mind from the time of René Descartes. I'm just going to quickly snap this one. Now it's mine forever. Haha. Just contributing to my pizza argument here. Dualist solutions to the mind-body problem. See also mind in Eastern philosophy. Ooh. Dualism is a set of views about the relationship between mind and matter, or body. It begins with the claim that mental phenomena are, in some respects, non-physical. One of the earliest known formulations of mind-body dualism was expressed in the Eastern Samkhya and Yoga schools of Hindu philosophy, circa 650 BCE, which divided the world into Purusha, mind and spirit, and Prakriti, material substance. Specifically, the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali presents an analytical approach to the nature of the mind. In Western philosophy, the earliest discussions of dualist ideas are in the writings of Plato, who suggests that humans' intelligence, a faculty of the mind or soul, could not be identified with or explained in terms of their physical body. However, the best-known version of dualism is due to René Descartes, 1641, and holds that the mind is a non-extended, non-physical substance, a cogitans. Descartes was the first to clearly identify the mind with consciousness and self-awareness, and to distinguish this from the brain, which was the seat of intelligence. He was therefore the first to formulate the mind-body problem in the form in which it still exists today. Arguments for dualism. The most frequently used argument in favor of dualism appeals to the common sense intuition that conscious experience is distinct from inanimate matter. If asked what the mind is, the average person would usually respond by identifying it with their self, their personality, their soul, or another related entity. They would almost certainly deny that the mind simply is the brain, or vice versa, finding the idea that there is just one ontological entity at play to be too mechanistic or unintelligible. Modern philosophers of mind think that these intuitions are misleading, and that critical faculties, along with empirical evidence from the sciences, should be used to examine these assumptions and determine whether there's any real basis to them. The mental and the physical seem to have quite different and perhaps irreconcilable properties. Mental events have a subjective quality, whereas physical events do not. So, for example, one can reasonably ask what a burnt finger feels like, or what. Oh. You're on live with the Trusty A podcast.
How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm just reading before bed. What you up to, brother?
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I guess I got a missed call from you.
Yeah, I got a missed call from you, man.
Yeah, it's phone tag time, huh?
You're it. How's work going?
I'm over here at one of my sites here and seen a few transients. That's about it. Had a little 602 yesterday.
Nice. 602. Wait, that's is that a burglary?
No, the 622 is a transient that has been escorted off the property.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Kind of like another word is 86.
Yeah, trespass. Yeah.
But he was hella violent too. Had to use my taser and pointed at his chest, and he backed off.
Nice.
It was just another officer that requested backup, and I was just happened to be heading downtown to another site. I dealt with this guy before, so it's nothing new.
Oh, the guy you had to walk off, yeah. Yeah, we got one on my site. I don't deal with her, but she actually likes me. I'm one of the only people out there she likes, but she got a TRO on her for threatening to shoot one of our transit supervisors. And he was mad. Wow. I was like, that old lady's not going to shoot you. He's like, but she called me a racist. And she's an old black lady. And I was like, oh, so that's why you're mad. You got mad because she called you a racist. So you got her freaking 86.
There's like a lot of words that they're just angry because their living situation. We try not to hold it personal,
Yeah.
But this particular guy has an issue with all authorities, even the law enforcement, fire people, everybody. I guess the last time, he was cutting out something and he chopped some of his fingers or did something, and he started fighting with the fire truck or the MS.
Paramedics, yeah.
Yeah. This is this is something I found out later after the history that I know about this guy.
Yeah, well,
He's an artist because he likes to tag the building where he likes to hang out at.
Yeah.
Calling security the B word on the walls. He sure did not like seeing me when I came up, and like not even 30 seconds when I came on the property. Oh man, he practically jumped off the fucking property. Because I came up with that taser and I came right on. I had it on the ground, and even the other officer kind of in her report kind of like said, I would follow that taser light too. She was focusing on it.
Yeah.
She was like tripping on it.
That's the thing too. Like at my site, like I'm unarmed, so if anybody wants to get crazy with me, yeah, I just call in one of my support guys, and they come in with the full duty belt, everything ready to go. There's like, okay, I'm not fucking with that guy. It's like all of a sudden they're compliant. It's like, oh, all you want to see was somebody with a taser, huh? Okay.
Oh yeah, I'd rather use my taser before I use force, but because I will rather have hand combat before I use that kind of force.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and it's more easily defensible. Like if you don't have somebody who's like, because if somebody attacks you, then obviously you've got no other option. Whereas anytime you bring in a fucking less than lethal, was there any other option you could have taken?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's like with all this promotion I got, I even have my own work email assigned to me and everything. It's like I was like, I'm over here trying to figure out how to access it, and it's like, oh nope, can't access it. And I was like, what? He gave me my own email address, and I can't even access it yet. Nobody's here. No pop out here. That's the way I like my property. It looks like nobody here.
Yeah. It's like my spot after dark. It's like they all hang out during the day, and then the sun goes down, and then all of a sudden it's like you only see like everybody just well, you'll have a certain few that want to like chill and like go drink beer by the train tracks and shit, but they know that I'm gonna make it fucking cross the street with it, so they don't even come to my spot anymore. And then they all show up, 10, 15 minutes, the bus comes in, picks them all up, and I'll look around, I'll be like, oh, it's like me and one other person out here, It's like that for the rest of the night for the most part, as long as I stay on top of it. On the busy nights, I'll get the freaking tweakers out there, and they'll start freaking unloading their bags and shit. But now I just go over and I stare at them. I just stare at them for a few minutes, and then I'm like, fuck, this guy's not going away. And they take off. It's like...
Yeah, I heard through the grapevine that our company is going to be probably in the next week or so with a new fleet of vehicles.
Nice. Yeah, ours. We just got some new ones too. We're driving around like little freaking like eco-friendly cars or some shit now. Whereas our whole fleet had Jeeps before.
We're believing in burning coal oils and pollute the air kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, we still got the Jeeps, I think, but yeah.
Yeah, this is just a Chevy Equinox, or what do you call it?
Oh yeah, Equinox, yeah.
Yeah. But there's been a lot of crackdown where we're doing some stuff different. This was a good month so far because because about this time of the month we're like usually already crediting our clients of 200 missed hits, like at night or whatever.
Yeah.
But now we're only down to what I think it was like last time I checked was 49. Well, I've been putting in like a lot of 13 hours a shift and hitting those misses. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to tackle the ones we missed. And then after I did all that last night, I actually missed one of my hits, and I realized when I was at the property, it's like, shit, I missed it. And I was like, I can't and go ahead and try to add another hit here because it's a 20-minute hit, and I don't have time because I have to go somewhere else. Like, darn it. So I called my boss and said, hey, I don't want you to get mad at me, but I missed a hit. And he said, which one? And I told him, and he said, it happens.
Shit happens. Yeah.
Yeah, shit happens.
It's like all the sites I've been at, we're supposed to have the NFC reader, but our phone doesn't have the NFC capability. So like, just pretend that the tags are there. And I'm like, okay. So just walk around and yeah, okay, I get you. Yeah.
Well, I think this year's the company that we used to work for, those the app, whatever it is, where it knows when we're walking around the property. Why can't they use that?
Oh, we have that shit too, but our client doesn't like it. See, that's what I think is hilarious because they're like, don't use the app. The client doesn't like it. But the thing is, with our client, they've got fucking cameras all over the site. So I'm like, no, yeah, it's. I could see why they're like, fuck that. We'll just go and double check our fucking footage. We know if these guys do their patrol. Well, they know too because they're out there all day. Like between the drivers and the supervisors, there's eyes on you fucking the whole time you're there. So
yeah. I mean, I don't really sit behind the scenes like that until now. It's like, even though our company, you used to work for this company, come think of it, didn't you?
No, I never worked for the one you're with now.
Oh, it was.
No, our friend Jesse was over there for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. It was Jesse. My bad.
Yeah.
It's like now. It's like I think what it is I have 60 officers. Underneath me that I have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that's heavy. 60?
Yeah.
How many sites?
Oh, I don't even fucking. I don't know. Give or take, we have at each. Let's see, there's 25, probably 27 over there. Oh my God, there's 1, 2, 3, like 4. So probably over 100.
Over 100 sites between 60 guards?
That's just at nighttime.
So these are just your roving patrols?
Yeah, this is just regular patrols, not standing sites.
Right.
And we're already talking about expanding another route because they're overloaded. So they're talking about expanding my route to splitting it in two. And I was like, I'm always completing my route, so why you need to split mine? I don't mind because then that'll give me more time to do my job more efficiently. I hear you. Ambulance going to the hospital because that was Coil, the one over here in Citrus Heights.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of debating about getting me a Dutch Bro.
A what?
A Dutch Bro coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's one. It's like I think it's at before this next hit or just right after it, and it's a 24-hour one.
I don't know if it was just the one I went to. The last time I went to Dutch Brothers, man, my stomach got sour as hell. It gave me real bad indigestion. I don't know if it was what I got, just had too much sugar, or if it was the location, but it was bad. I'm like, I haven't been back to Dutch Brothers since.
I don't know. I always get brain freeze.
Oh, you get the iced coffees? Nice.
I always get the torture 911 with the 6 shots. So you at your new house?
No, I'm back in the other place for the night. I was supposed to get my car worked on, and the dude flaked out on me, but I had to come up here for some other business. So
what's wrong with your vehicle?
I busted the rear stabilizer arm. So yeah, like
that's expensive.
What's that?
I said that could get expensive.
Yeah, it's mostly the labor. The part isn't that much. It's already been paid for. And the dude who my aunt paid to do it has just been flaking out on me. So, but yeah, it's mostly just labor intensive. Like the part itself isn't too expensive. But yeah, it requires like lifting the whole car and stuff like that to get it out. So.
Okay.
But yeah. You can't go anywhere with it like that. Like I just tried taking it around the block. It's like the back end's wobbling all over the place, and I'm afraid it's gonna like you know, like really fuck up my my axle or something back there, you know.
Yeah, they also could be very dangerous, especially with all those hills and stuff that you have to travel around over.
Oh yeah, I'm not even trying that. Like I said, I was just trying to move it down the street, and it's like it's wobbling and fishtailing all over the place. So
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking your training will be, if you're not careful, even your transmission will get fucked up with all those curves and hills and stuff down there.
yeah, I haven't been driving at all. It's just been parked. I just move it from spot to spot so it doesn't get tagged.
Give me a minute here. I'm going to get me some coffee here. Hello. Hi, I want the same one I got yesterday. That was good.
Really? I made that one.
That was good.
Like, oh my gosh, my goodness. I wasn't stressing about it. I was like, I hope that
It was good.
Okay, a blessed March 911.
Yes.
Yes. God.
Alright, let me turn my app on. It says I got a double point, but that was yesterday, but I don't know if it counts today.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, with the app, because it's like all done through corporate.
Yeah.
So it's like all different. Oh, and how much was
So, you working tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be on tomorrow.
At the same train yard?
Yep, it's my regular spot. I'm working 6 days this week. I signed up for an extra shift on Sunday to try to make up for what I'm missing. So yeah, I'm like, that's my spot. I'm the only full-time person there, and everybody knows me. Like I've gotten a reputation now. So
You works at the Bay Area. Well, they got me doing this 13 hours a day sometimes.
damn, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, most of my shifts are 10 hours. The longest I've worked for this company now is a 12er, but that was going from my site to another site. So you know they're not too stiff on the overtime, but I did try to sign up to work a couple 18-hour shifts at my site. I was like, because the other guy was trying to call out, and I was like, fuck it, I'll take his shift too, which would have put me at 18 hours. And they're like, no, we're drawing the line there. So,
They're cheap ass bastards, huh?
well, I mean, you know, you gotta like just yeah, put your foot down somewhere. I mean, they're a decently sized company, but they're not huge. They're not, they're local. They're not like a national company, so they stay kind of oriented around the community and
I
stuff.
was checking my paycheck, and it's like I had like I think it was like $400 over $400 overtime.
Yeah. And their HR is really good where I'm at too. Like whenever I have a miss punch or something like that, and I'm like, well, fuck it, like I was gonna just let it go, and they're like, no, that's your money, like, make sure you correct that shit. And I was like, oh, okay, fine, I'll go back and do that because it's all automated. So they're just like, it's basically, honor system. Like, if I put in my hours for this, if I don't even punch in, they're just gonna basically take me at my word on that, to a certain extent. I imagine.
You too. Of course. I gotta get out of here, bye.
Oh, she sounds like Cutie. No,
To be about your speed.
Yeah.
She's old enough to be my daughter.
Well, see, I have that a lot too, yeah.
I don't know why she was all worried about making it good. It was like, I don't know. You can't go wrong with this blended. For some reason, when you don't blend your shit there, it's not taste right.
Some people just really, really appreciate security guards. Like, not most people, but some people do.
Yeah, like the donut house, donut place by my house, they'll give me a discount on my donuts. change. At least I'm ahead of schedule here. See, what time is it now? At 12:49. Usually, I'm just leaving the freeway from downtown at 1:00, and I'm already up here. Holy shit! I'm on like an hour and a half. Well, maybe an hour. Let's just give myself an hour ahead of schedule. That's good. That means I can take an extra hour of sleep when I get to my lunch.
Nice.
But I noticed that if I tried to take a nap, oh my god, it's like it makes it worse.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I used to have that with the other company we worked for. I do that.
Yeah, so I just usually like watch Peacock or something during my lunch because I just get more tired and more exhausted after I get in. Feel like you get a rest or whatever. It just makes it worse. That's all.
Yeah, as soon as like you wake up and you're like fucking headache and yeah.
Yeah. But if I just do a power nap, like maybe 10 or max it out to 15, and I might be okay. You just get that little extra energy boost. But if I go into that REM sleep, oh shit.
Yeah. That's what I find. Like 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, you could do that. And then you could, kind of like come out of it and you feel just a little bit more rejuvenated. But if you go beyond that, you fall asleep and then you're just like fucked.
Yeah, and then you want to just stay there and sleep and say, fuck it, that may be another 10 minutes. Oh, no, another 10 minutes. And then you look at the time like, oh, shit. So you said you finished up your pod, or are you still doing it?
The what?
Are you still doing your pod?
Yeah, you're on it, dude. This whole conversation is
Can you
fucking.
erase all that stuff?
You're broadcasting to like multiple countries right now, man.
At least we didn't tell our company who we work for, because then they'll call us and say we're doing a bad job.
No, yeah, we didn't say anything incriminating.
Yeah, I'm denying everything. How's that? I'm doing a horrible job and I don't care kind of thing. How's that?
Hey, man, as far as I know, you were just getting a coffee on your way to another site,
They can't say I can't. I mean, it's not like I went like 5 miles out of my way to do it, because it's in my route. Just made a U-turn for one half a block and turn around.
It's like some companies have this like no media contact policy, like where you're not ever supposed to like, which is technically, like it's a violation of your First Amendment right. So they can't actually, but some companies will fire you for it, like, but it's like, no, technically that's illegal. That's a violation of civil liberties, sir.
I don't think our company don't really see it that way. They encourage us to do our lunch and on our, they said if it's like, they said they don't care if you do a half hour and do a half hour later, to split that hour into or lunch. You just don't get paid for that extra, because it's a non-paid lunch, so you can do it how you want to do it. But if you don't do your lunch, you technically, verbally, they say, you volunteered your time. So if you don't take your lunch, that's on you.
That's what I love about these guys. They give us paid lunches, but we are technically on call. But I mean, yeah, it's like.
See, this is different. You can't leave site. I can. I got multiple apartment complex and business and parking lots I patrol.
Right, and it's because I can't leave site. They have to give me that paid lunch, right? But
it's like I have 2 officers. Wait a minute. One right now is a standing officer. She gets paid for her lunch, but she's only worked for 8 hours. So that's why I work 9 hours. So it still kind of works out the same.
Right. Oh, so she gets only the 30-minute lunch, but you could take a full hour.
I'm not quite sure. I have to look at the thing because, matter of fact, I had to put her down to say she's working tonight because it's supposed to be somebody else. She just filled in, so I had to do my paperwork to say that she worked it, not the other person. And I got this one guy left the site early and thinking he's going to get paid for that hour that he left early. It's like, think again. You don't think I didn't catch that? I guess some sneaky ass officers out there sometimes.
Yeah. It's funny. I've been having the bicycle patrols come through my spot, which I'm out there walking around, and the cop just rolls up on a bicycle. And, oh, hey, what's up, dude? They're like, we're just making sure the kids don't get unruly. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, at least you have extra pair of eyes.
Oh,
That
yeah.
kinda helps. Oh boy.
What, going on 1 in the morning? It's getting close to my bedtime. I'm supposed to be on this fucking schedule or whatever.
I don't get off till 7, and then I can't leave until all my officers comes in, and I have to do a vehicle and walk around with them with their vehicles to make sure they clean up their mess and no hot box in our vehicles, because right now we're cracking down on it, and it's going to be what you call automatic termination. So
Wait, your officers have been smoking in their patrol vehicles?
Well, I'm just saying I know who was the person was doing it. I'm just not, pretty much putting the finger out right now because I just kind of doing like a whole pass down to everybody, understanding that when you signed on to working for us, you agreed to be not under the influence. So it's kind of like I'm using it as a tool that goes apply to everybody.
Yeah. Right, even go so far as to say it's just a matter of fucking having respect for the company vehicle, like.
Well, there's that too, but you also when you did your guard card, you're also under that rule too.
Yeah.
We're not like 100% like kind of enforcing it, but if our hands gets tied, we will. If it kind of interfere with work and you're doing this in the vehicle, I mean, we will start doing something, but we're not saying you can't enjoy yourself and have that moment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If it's going to affect your workability, then we're going to have to do something.
I know how it is.
Nobody's, my sniffing dog nose hasn't smelled anything yet, and everybody comes in, and I see them throwing the garbage out on the floor, and I was like, who's going to pick this shit up? So they're cleaning at least, and because the cars got detailed recently over the weekend, and we're just like, you know what, we're going to keep them fucking clean, or else. Some of the pigs, motherfuckers. Yeah, I already know who was hotboxing the vehicle. It's just like, we're just kind of giving what you call a shout-out warning to everybody. And I'm pretty sure he knows we're talking about him, but we're not, like, pointing fingers.
Yeah.
You know how you know who it is? Because they're assigned to a certain vehicle and they're assigned to a certain route. We just kind of narrow it down to who was driving that night. That's how you do it. Then he also got in trouble for not doing the vehicle report.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Like, if I don't transition out, fucking, I don't know. I'm getting big pressure to become a bus driver, and the money's better. And I'm like, shit, I just skip right over there.
License, don't you? The passenger endorsement and all that.
Yeah, but they train you and all that. They train you and they pay for it and everything. So yeah.
But you know how much stress you have to deal with early passengers? Because I've been on one, and how some of these people are, and it's very distracting when you're trying to drive, especially when you have all the traffic on the outside.
Well, yeah, that's why you got me at the end of the line. You got this guy. I'm the guy who takes the unruly passenger and gets him the fuck off the bus when when you've had enough. So.
What about during the line? I mean, during the route, it's like you can't just have them be rowdy through the whole place because it's.
Well, no, yeah, that's why they have their protocols. Like, so they'll just pull over the bus wherever if somebody's distracting them that bad, and you can either call the transit supervisor or the police department out to come and fucking pull them off the bus for you because you're not supposed to technically deal with them. It's like you say, hey, you gotta stop it. And if they don't stop it, then you just pull the fucking bus over. All right, the whole bus is stopping. We're waiting for somebody to get here and fucking, pull your ass off. That's it. Like
all the other passengers getting all pissed off because that motherfucker causing them to be late for work.
Yeah. And then you see like an uprising where like the passengers will just fucking throw them off sometimes. Like you just never know. Like, yeah, you don't fuck around with people's transportation. Like, yeah, no, I've learned that. it ain't no joke. They're fucking.
I had one of my officers called me and asked me if they about the vehicle, get the authorization to tow a vehicle the other day.
Yeah.
It was a BMW. It was parked in a handicap, and I said yeah. And then about 3 hours later, they were screaming and yelling on the phone, blowing up my phone, and said, it's like he's like, I know you'll pay for it. You're paying for it. I said no. You don't have no proof that you have any identification on your vehicle. And then they tried to say, oh, we have proof that I had it. And I said, no, we have proof too. Because I was there, when they were calling me, I was looking right at the report. And then she said, well, you should have just read the license plate, in the computer, and they would have already told you this handicap. And I said, well, we're not equipped with that kind of system.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, you got to the point where she was blowing up the phone almost 20 times within an hour. So I just turned off the phone for a while and just hope I don't get no service calls.
Yeah. Oh shit.
And she wanted us to pay for it. I said no. And then I had this one guy that I know he's handicapped, but sometimes he don't put his placard in his rear mirror. But I always have, you have a what do you call it, moral that he's like, he's handicapped, but you're just doing your rules. I won't tow the vehicle because I know he is handicapped. But I'm going by what my boss told me to do as well. So, and he calls and gets all mad and say you're harassing me. I said, no, sir, you're not being harassed. You just need to start putting your handicap in the windshield. It's like you're not entitled not to put it up. And I said, yeah, I know you're handicapped. We already established it, but still. Okay, hold on. Going on to one of my officers going on lunch. Let's see, what time is it? 1:03. That's kind of early. He's taking lunch. But that's all right. He'll get off at 6. So that's about right. But yeah, I mean, I get some people who are just rude. This guy wants to file a police report on harassment, and I said no. You can go ahead and do what you want. Pictures I took clearly shows that you don't have your thing up, and management wants you to put that up when you're parked in a handicap.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, you're lucky I'm not towing your vehicle because I know that you are a legit handicap, but still not put in placard.
Yeah, and I think the thing even says it has to be not just displayed, but clearly displayed. Like, it can't be like, yeah, it's got to be in the front fucking windshield, visible. Like,
Right. He tried to say it was on the dashboard, and I have my picture shows it was not there. And then he tried to say it was on the seat. I said, I'm not going to look in your seat just to see if it's there. That's not technically displaying it.
yeah.
But if you read the penal code, it has to be hanging on your mirror in the windshield.
I had one of those back when I was up in Citrus Heights at the clinic, and I didn't even get on her for that. I got on her because she was smoking in the car with her kids, but I couldn't bust her for it. And but then I noticed that she didn't have her handicap placard up, and that she wanted to argue with me about it. So yeah, I called in the PD. And of course, as soon as the cop rolls in the parking lot, she pulls her handicap placard out of her freaking glove box. I knew she was going to. And I'm like, yeah. And I told him straight up. I was like, really, I called you because you were smoking in the car with your kids. I think you're disgusting. I think that's fucking gross. Like,
Exactly.
anyway, well, fucking 105. I better fucking get wrapping my shit up and fucking finish this paper
All right,
here.
buddy. Don't be a stranger. Are you coming up here Monday, right?
I'm supposed to, but I've been saying that for, I don't know. We'll see. I'm broke as a joke right now, so.
Try a different day where I can be able to hang out with you because I have to work those days.
Yeah. Yeah, I know if I can. Sunday is going to be a busy ass day, so I'm still trying to figure all that out.
Well, just give me a shout out when you're coming up this way, and I'll see what I can do, okay?
All right, yeah. I'll let you know, man.
All right, later, man.
All right, later. Friend of the channel. And always a pleasure having. We've had Roy on some surprise streams. I like to surprise. Okay, go back into the layout. Yep. Okay. Arguments for dualism. Did we get there? Finish this one? Yes, okay. Arguments for dualism. The most frequently used argument in favor of dualism appeals to the common sense intuition that conscious experience is distinct from inanimate matter. If asked what the mind is, the average person would usually respond by identifying it with their self, their personality, their soul, or another related entity. They would almost certainly deny that the mind simply is the brain or vice versa, finding the idea that there is just one ontological entity at play to be too mechanistic or unintelligible. Okay. Modern philosophers of mind think that these intuitions are misleading, and that critical faculties, along with empirical evidence from the sciences, should be used to examine these assumptions and determine whether there's any real basis to them. The mental and the physical seem to have quite different and perhaps irreconcilable properties. Mental events have a subjective quality, whereas physical events do not. So, for example, one can reasonably ask what a burnt finger feels like, or what a blue sky looks like, or what nice music sounds like to a person, but it is meaningless, or at least odd, to ask what a surge in the uptake of glutamate in the dorsolateral portion of the prefrontal cortex feels like. Philosophers of mind call the subjective aspects of mental events qualia, or raw feels. There are qualia involved in these mental events that seem particularly difficult to reduce to anything physical. David Chalmers explains this argument by stating that we could conceivably know all the objective information about something, such as the brain states and wavelengths of light involved with seeing the color red, but still not know something fundamental about the situation, what it is like to see the color red. If consciousness, the mind, can exist independently of physical reality, the brain, one must explain how physical memories are created concerning consciousness. Dualism must therefore explain how consciousness affects physical reality. One possible explanation is that of a miracle proposed by Arnold Gulnick and Nicholas Malebranche, where all mind-body interactions require the direct intervention of God. Another argument that has been proposed by C.S. Lewis is the argument from reason. If, as monism implies, all of our thoughts are the effects of physical causes, then we have no reason for assuming that they are also the consequent of a reasonable ground. Knowledge, however, is apprehended by reasoning from ground to consequent. Therefore, if monism is correct, there would be no way of knowing this or anything else. We could not even suppose it except by a fluke. The zombie argument is based on a thought experiment proposed by Todd Moody and developed by David Chalmers in his book The Conscious Mind. The basic idea is that one can imagine one's body and therefore conceive the existence of one's body without any conscious states being associated with his body. Chalmers' argument is that it seems plausible that such a being could exist because all that is needed is that all and only the things is that right? All that is needed is that all and only the things that the physical sciences describe about a zombie must be true of it. Since none of the concepts involved in these sciences make reference to consciousness or other mental phenomena, and any physical entity can be, by definition, described scientifically via physics, the move from conceivability to possibility is not such a large one. Others, such as Dennett, have argued that the notion of a philosophical zombie is an incoherent or unlikely concept. It has been argued under physicalism that one must either believe that anyone, including oneself, might be a zombie, or that no one can be a zombie, following from the assertion that one's own conviction about being or not being a zombie is a product of the physical world and is therefore no different from anyone else's. This argument has been expressed by Dennett, who argues that zombies think they are conscious. They have qualia. They think they suffer pains. They're just wrong, according to this lamentable tradition, in ways that neither they nor we could ever discover. See also problem of other minds or something. And there's a lovely little picture of Descartes in the interactionist dualism. I think I need some fluids. Interactionist dualism, or simply interactionism, is the particular form of dualism first espoused by Descartes in the Meditations. He stole Marcus Aurelius' book, bastard. In the 20th century, its major defenders have been Karl Popper and John Carew Eccles. John Carew Eccles? Eccles? Is it? It's Eccles. Yes, Eccles. I think it's Eccles. My brain had a moment. It is the view that mental states such as beliefs and desires causally interact with physical states. Descartes' argument for this position can be summarized as follows. Seth has a clear and distinct idea of his mind as a thinking thing that has no spatial extension, i.e., it cannot be measured in terms of length, weight, height, and so on. He also has a clear and distinct idea of his body as something that is spatially extended, subject to quantification and not able to think. It follows that mind and body are not identical because they have radically different properties. Seth's mental states, desires, beliefs, etc., have causal effects on his body and vice versa. A child touches a hot stove, physical event, which causes pain, mental event, and makes her yell, physical event. This in turn provokes a sense of fear and protectiveness in the caregiver, mental event. and so on. I'm just going to go ahead and clip that as well. Capture that. Yes, I need this image of the hot stove. Keep strange things like this around. Descartes' argument depends on the premise that what Seth believes to be clear and distinct ideas in his mind are necessarily true. Many contemporary philosophers doubt this. For example, Joseph Agassi suggests that several scientific discoveries made since the early 20th century have undermined the idea of privileged access to one's own ideas. Freud claimed that a psychologically trained observer can understand a person's unconscious motivations better than the person himself does. Duhem has showed that a philosopher of science can know a person's methods of discovery better than that person herself does, while Malinowski has shown that an anthropologist can know a person's customs and habits better than the person whose customs and habits they are. He also asserts that modern psychological experiments that cause people to see things that are not there provide grounds for rejecting Descartes' arguments. Because scientists can describe a person's perceptions better than the person herself can. You can see this, right? Yes, okay, you can see this. Interaction dualism, causal interaction, right? Mental, physical, but this one's just in, out, and there's no reciprocation except in the non-reductive mental, and this one's like interchanging. They're all going to the second order, I guess. I don't know what this is. Parallelism. There's a one-to-one parallel between the mental and the physical state, and then in this one, yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Right. Wait, do we get the thing? Other forms of dualism. Psychophysical parallelism. Say that 5 times fast. Psychophysical parallelism. Psychophysical parallelism, or simply parallelism. Yeah, that's simpler. That's simpler as shit. Okay. Parallelism is the view that mind and body, while having distinct ontological statuses, do not causally influence one another. Instead, they run along parallel paths. Mind events causally interact with mind events, and brain events causally interact with brain events, and only seem to influence each other. This view was most prominently defended by Gottfried Leibniz, although Leibniz was an ontological monist who believed that only one type of substance, the monad, exists in the universe, and that everything is reducible to it. He nonetheless maintained that there was an important distinction between the mental and the physical in terms of causation. He held that God had arranged things in advance so that minds and bodies would be in harmony with each other. This is known as the doctrine of pre-established harmony. Occasionalism is the view espoused by Nicholas Malebranche, as well as Islamic philosophers such as Abu Hamid Muhammad ibn Muhammad al-Ghazali, that asserts that all supposedly causal relations between physical events or between physical and mental events are not really causal at all, while body and mind are different substances. Causes, whether mental or physical, are related to their effects by an act of God's intervention on each specific occasion. So, okay, God, more God. Okay, that's all we've got so far. Property dualism. Property dualism is the view that the world is constituted of one kind of substance, the physical kind, and There exist two distinct kinds of properties, physical properties and mental properties. It is the view that non-physical mental properties such as beliefs, desires, and emotions inhere in some physical bodies, at least in brains. Subvarieties of property dualism include emergent materialism, asserts that when matter is organized in the appropriate way, i.e., in the way that living human bodies are organized, mental properties emerge in a way not fully accountable for by physical laws. These emergent properties have an independent ontological status and cannot be reduced to or explained in terms of the physical substrate from which they emerge. They are dependent on the physical properties from which they emerge, but opinions vary as to the coherence of top-down causation, i.e., the causal effectiveness of such properties. A form of emergent materialism has been espoused by David Chalmers, and the concept has undergone something of a renaissance in recent years, but it was recently suggested in the 19th century by William James. Epiphenomenalism is a doctrine first formulated by Thomas Henry Huxley. It consists of the view that mental phenomena are causally ineffectual, where one or more mental states do not have any influence on physical states, or mental phenomena are the effects, but not the causes of physical phenomena. Physical events can cause other physical and mental events, but mental events cannot cause anything since they are just causally inert byproducts, i.e., epiphenomena of the physical world. This view has been defended by Frank Jackson. No, he is. What? No. You could totally interrupt. I don't, yeah, totally do, Halsey, if you feel so inclined. I'm actually supposed to go to bed, but I feel like determined to finish this, and whatever I can afford to sleep in, it's fine. Everything's fine. I won't sleep anyway. I always say I'm going to sleep in, and then I never do. Non-reductive physicalism is the view that mental properties form a separate ontological class to physical properties. Mental states, such as qualia, are not reducible to physical states. The ontological stance towards qualia in the case of non-reductive physicalism does not imply that qualia are causally inert. This is what distinguishes it from epiphenomenalism. Okay, wait. This one is they're causally ineffectual, inert, and then this one separate, physical, mental. Okay, brain work. Okay. I think we're gonna have to go look at that graph again, though. Panpsychism is the view that all matter has a mental aspect, or alternatively, all objects have a unified center of experience or point of view. Superficially, it seems to be a form of property dualism, since it regards everything as having both mental and physical properties. However, some panpsychists say that mechanical behavior is derived from the primitive mentality of atoms and molecules, as are sophisticated mentality and organic behavior, the difference being attributed to the presence or absence of complex structure in a compound object. So long as the reduction of non-mental properties to mental ones is in place, panpsychism is not a strong form of property dualism. Otherwise, it is. I feel like somebody was being a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So it's 4. Okay, and then we had this thing. Let's look at this thing again. This is the interactionist dualism, the epiphenomenalism. They don't have one for panpsychism, I guess. Whoa, buddy. Okay, let's go back. All right. Psychophysic parallelism. Okay, so this is the one where they kind of run concurrently, but they're not like, actually interactive with each other, right? Yeah, I don't know. This is just mind fucking boggling. Okay, so if I'm looking at like my view of the what is the mind? And it has to start with the physical thing, right? That's this interactionist one, right? So I have the physical thing, which is the brain, and then the thing of the mind occurs, which is also covered in epiphenomenalism. Because you have the brain and then the mind, and then it interacts with the physical body, and then there's a mental react, I guess, is like the thing. This one doesn't make sense to me. Like, the mind just kind of runs on the same train tracks with the body or something, but it's like, no. And then this is just all over the place. This is fucking gobbledygook. Non-reductive physicalism. I don't know what this is. Are you saying that the body can't exist without the mind? Is all that it seems like you're saying there? And then just they're talking about, like, how good action, reaction, thingamajigger. I'm like talking about, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we went. Okay. The interactionist, psychophysical, epiphenomenal, and non-reductive. Okay. And then panpsychism, of course, because it's so interesting. Dual aspect theory, or dual aspect monism, is the view that the mental and the physical are two aspects of or perspectives on the same substance. Thus, it is a mixed position, which is monistic in some respects. In modern philosophical writings, the theory's relationship to neutral monism has become somewhat ill-defined, but one preferred distinction says that whereas neutral monism allows the context of a given group of neutral elements and the relationships into which they enter to determine whether the group can be thought of as mental, physical, both, or neither, dual aspect theory suggests that the mental and physical are manifestations or aspects of some underlying substance, entity, or process that is itself neither mental nor physical as normally understood. Various formulations of dual aspect monism also require the mental and the physical to be complementary, mutually irreducible, and perhaps inseparable, though distinct. Okay. Experiential dualism. This is a philosophy of mind that regards the degrees of freedom between mental and physical well-being as not synonymous, thus implying an experiential dualism between body and mind. An example of these disparate degrees of freedom is given by Alan Wallace, who notes that it is experientially apparent that one may be physically uncomfortable, for instance, while engaging in a strenuous physical workout, while mentally cheerful. Conversely, one may be mentally distraught while experiencing physical comfort. Experiential dualism notes that our subjective experience of merely seeing something in the physical world seems qualitatively different from the mental processes like grief that comes from losing a loved one. This philosophy is a proponent of causal dualism, which is defined as the dual ability for mental states and physical states to affect one another. Mental states can cause changes in physical states and vice versa. However, unlike Cartesian dualism or some other systems, experiential dualism does not posit two fundamental substances in reality, mind and matter. Rather, experiential dualism is to be understood as a conceptual framework that gives credence to the qualitative difference between the experience of mental and physical states. Experiential dualism is accepted as the conceptual framework of Madhyamaka Buddhism. I can't pronounce it correctly. Madhyamaka? Is it Madhyamaka? Buddhism goes further, finding fault with the monist view of physicalist philosophies of mind, as well, in that these generally posit matter and energy as the fundamental substance of reality. Nonetheless, this does not imply that the Cartesian dualist view is correct. Rather, Madhyamaka regards as error any affirming view of a fundamental substance to reality. In denying the independent self-existence of all the phenomena that make up the world of our experience, the Madhyamaka view departs from both the substance dualism of Descartes and the substance monism, namely physicalism, that is characteristic of modern science. The physicalism propounded by many contemporary scientists seems to assert that the real world is composed of physical things in themselves, while all mental phenomena are regarded as mere appearances, devoid of any reality in and of themselves. Much is made of this difference between appearances and reality. Indeed, physicalism, or the idea that matter is the only fundamental substance of reality, is explicitly rejected by Buddhism. In the Madhyamaka view, mental events are no more or less real than physical events. In terms of our common sense experience, differences of kind do exist between physical and mental phenomena, while the former commonly have mass, location, velocity, shape, size, and numerous other physical attributes. These are not generally characteristic of mental phenomena. For example, we do not commonly conceive of the feeling of affection for another person as having mass or location. These physical attributes are no more appropriate to other mental events such as sadness, a recalled image from one's childhood, the visual perception of a rose, or consciousness of any sort. Mental phenomena are therefore not regarded as being physical, for the simple reason that they lack many of the attributes that are uniquely characteristic of physical phenomena. Thus, Buddhism has never adopted the physicalist principle that regards only physical things as real. And this is just going to keep going for a while, and I think I have reached my my hard stop points apparently. So we'll just save this right here and probably come back to it in the morning. Oh, this is just a Wikipedia article. I didn't do anything like important, like go to academic source. No, I was just like I bookmarked some Wikipedia articles and started pressing links and reading. That's all it was. So I will link the this is just Philosophy of Mind Wikipedia, and I'll save it for tomorrow. And yeah, I'm going to come by in the morning. Whenever I get up, I'll try to do a little something. So much love. As always, may you live in interesting times. Peace. All right. Stay well, everybody.